Hello. So anyway, I mean to do this once a week. This is Cody Engdahl, and I have I don't know if I'm gonna make a show or have some kind of official opening, but this is my live YouTube stream. I am going to use this channel to talk about all things. Well, not maybe all things, but I'm going to talk about the book publishing industry, especially from a independent point of view. I'm really excited for independence, to tell you the truth. I think we're in a new age of independence, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. The things I'm going to talk about tonight is I'm going to talk. I just finished a 5 day course on author ads. It's called the 5 day author ad profit challenge or something like that. It's put on by the author ad school, run by Brian Cohen. He is an excellent teacher. It's a great. They give away like a free 5 day course every few months. It's a fantastic course where I mean it's in real time where you like every morning you have to you get your assignment, you read through a blog post, you watch the video, and then you create ads. And then in the afternoon they have a live Q&A session. Plus they have, if you join the actual school year round, they have weekly, like almost multiple shows happening throughout the week. So if you're an early morning person, if you're in the middle of the night person, or you live in Indonesia or Australia, there's always a show, and they have people on there who make like over six figures selling books. They're completely independent, published authors on KDP. So they're published through Amazon. They are on Kindle Unlimited. They sell ebooks and print books all over the world. These are people that have been through it. They know the answers. It's a great time. We're going to talk about that. I also helped a friend of mine, David Treadway. I think I'm saying it right. Publish his book last. Well, actually, he hasn't published it yet. He still has some work to do. And I'm kind of excited. I had kind of several epiphanies that I'm going to talk about, and I had one with a possible future business that I might get into. We'll see. We'll see. And I'm also going to. I've kind of changed the way I think, really about myself and about my approach to marketing and writing and marketing books. I'm an independent author. I don't have a big I don't have a big publisher behind me that's gonna do all my marketing for me. And let me tell you something, folks. If you're interested in getting into the writing game and publishing, even if you go traditionally published with a big publishing company, you're still going to have to do most of the work. They're going to depend on you to push your book, not them. So it's really interesting how many people I saw during the course who were learning how to create Amazon ads themselves because they said that their publisher was doing absolutely nothing to push their books. They were putting no money behind it, no effort behind it. And these people were learning how to create Amazon ads so that they can push their book sales, even though they don't have direct control over seeing, like day to day, I can see what my royalties are every day. In fact, multiple times during the day, I check to see what I'm doing in royalties every single day. And I have direct control over running ads. And I can see like a direct correlation between ads I'm running and the sales I'm making both here in the United Kingdom. And every once in a while, I'll make a sale like in Italy or Germany or Canada or places like that. So we'll get into all that. So very interesting things. And then I'll just kind of catch you up with where I am with currently with the writing. So let's talk about this course. So I decided a few weeks ago, or maybe a few months ago, can't remember, but I can't just you can't just put out books. First of all, you can't just put out books, put them on Amazon, and just hope someone's gonna discover them and buy them. It's after you get kind of your first round of friends and family. If you want to get discovered, you have to spend money, and I'm going to get more into that. So I started doing Amazon ads, but the problem with Amazon ads is it's scary. You can do it yourself. In fact, they say, look, you can hire someone else to do it, but you really have to turn a big margin in profit if you're going to pay for somebody. I mean, think about it. How much do you think it would cost? How much would you charge somebody to run their ads for them, right? So it's not worth it paying somebody when you can do it yourself. You got to learn how to do it. And the problem is when you go in there, they do a good job, but Amazon, when they're teaching it to you, what they want to do is teach you all the bells and whistles and all the different variables you could do in setting up an ad. And you don't know why you would do one thing over the other because they have, it's not a one size fits all. So there's enough variables for people with different philosophies to do their stuff. Well, it's very intimidating if you don't really know what you're doing or how to go about it, and you don't know if you're throwing money away or making money. And so this course helped out a lot. And I'll tell you, in doing so, first of all, I made 14 ads, and they said now I'm already seeing a difference, but they say do not sit there, and it takes weeks and weeks and weeks before you really start seeing the effect of these ads, because they talk about the rule of seven. So they say that sometimes people need to see your ad 7 times before they say, I'm going to buy that. And the other thing I learned in this course is I was looking at my ad. I don't know if any of you have done the ads, but I have my KDP sales dashboard. That's a separate place where I go where I can see my sales, my royalties, how many people have downloaded my book, how many people have bought the this paperback, the hardback. I sold a hardback version. I think I've only sold 2 so far. Most of the money I make comes in. Well, actually, over lifetime, I think I make more money in the paperback prints, but I make a lot of money lately in both um, in the ebooks for Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. Kindle Unlimited, just think of it as Netflix for books. You pay a monthly fee, and then you can read as many books as you want that are on the service. I'm on there, and I make a little bit less than a half a penny per book. So when they read through my book, I've learned that the longer the book, the better. So so we made ads, and the things that I learned is, one, I was making ads before that were like everything in it, like every category, every keyword, everything I could think of. They say don't do that. Make one ad per category and have multiple ads. They also say make your bids 39 cents, all of them, and make your daily budget $5. And they say you're not going to go through it. So right now I have 14 ads in the U.S. running with 39-cent bids. All of them have a $5 limit. Actually, I think I have 15 or 16 because I turned on my blood for blood ads too. When I started the ad, I turned off all my ads, both in the UK and the United States, because I wanted to see how it worked. And they also said concentrate on one book. You got to learn what you're doing, then you can start applying to the other things. Well, once I kind of got confident what I was doing, I was like, okay, well, I was turning a profit on my ads in the UK, so there's no reason not to run those ads. And they have ways of figuring out if your book is profitable, and it certainly is based on clicks to my sales. My books do really well, and when people click on it more often than not, they buy it than they don't buy it. But that's not always the case. If you get 8 clicks per sale, you're still doing a good job. And the other thing is too is don't look at your sales and your page reads on your ad dashboard, because attribution is a really funny thing, and of course they're being very conservative with it. So if somebody clicks on the ad and buys your book, then they'll attribute attribution. But they might look at it and think about it, and then later on go back and buy it, but they didn't go through they didn't go through clicking on the sponsored ad. See how that works? So that might not show up on your ad dashboard, but it will show up on your sales dashboard. And I will go through this more. And actually, if you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend. The guy's name is Brian Cohen. His school is called Author Ad School. I think they're closing enrollment after tomorrow. And so you'll want to jump in on that quick if you want to do it. Or I think in October they're going to run the free thing again. and I might do the free thing again. They say you can do the free thing as many times as you want and never join the ad class. Some people, if there's a lot to swallow, I would like to at least work on what I learned in the 5-day course. But here's the thing that blew my mind. Okay, one of the things is, first of all, they say take a period of time, look at how much you've been spending on your ads. Okay, then go over to your KDP sales and look at what your sales have been, meaning your orders and your page reads. And when you look at your page reads, whatever book it's for, find out. There's a way of finding out how many pages your Amazon considers your electronic book. Because if you have a Kindle like me, you can make the font big or small. So that it's not, but they decide by character, whatever, what is a full page. And so then you can divide your page reads by the number of electronic pages that are in your book, which may not be the same as your print books. And then that counts, that's kind of a sale. So let's say I have, let's say to make it simple, let's say I have 2,550 page reads on Rampage on the River. Well, I know that electronically, Rampage on the River is considered to have 255 pages. So that would mean that that would count as 10 sales, right? So I would take those 10 sales, or actually I would take all the revenue, all the money I made off of page reads, all the money I made off of sales, and then I would look at what I paid and that's where you get, and I found that I'm paying pretty much, I'm making $10 for every dollar I spend on advertising. And that is consistently since like I started advertising a year ago. When I look at all the money I spent since last year and all the money I made, every dollar I spent in advertising, I made $10. So winner, winner, winner. And I also know that my book is profitable because there was a way of figuring out mathematically. And I found out that more often than not, I get a sale for every 0.67 clicks. And they say if you're like 6 to 10 clicks per sale, you're good. So I know I'm good. Now all I have to do is just ramp it up. I'm really excited about this. To tell you the truth, I'm learning a lot. My plan is now, they say to concentrate on one book, but I just can't do that. So one of my plan is, first of all, I'm always going to promote Rampage on the River because it's the first book in the trilogy. And it's funny, like today, somebody bought all three books. So it happens a lot. But a lot of times, that's the other thing you don't realize. You're spending money on advertising the first book, but people are coming back and buying the second and the third book. So and these numbers I told you just now, I'm not even factoring that in. And I have found, luckily, that more often than not, if people read my first book, they read the next ones. I also learned in doing this, they say don't give your book away. If you're on KDP, you probably know that every 90 days you can give your book away for free for 5 days. And the idea behind that is that people get it for free, they'll read it, and maybe they'll buy the next book, or they'll give you a positive review, and your sales rank will go up. Well, what I kind of assumed, but their research has found, is that people, if they get it for free, they typically don't read it. I have a bunch of books that I've downloaded for free that I've yet to read. So if they never read your first book, they're not going to come back and buy your second book. But what you can do is do countdowns where for 7 days, and you can do it separately. You can do one countdown in the US and one in the UK every 90 days. And that is like, for like a couple days, it's 99 cents. For a couple days, it's $1.99, and up until you get to your original price. And just so you know, I'm exclusive with KDP. You don't have to be. If you're exclusive with KDP, then you get all the money from the Kindle Unlimited readers. And let me tell you something, folks. That's money you just wouldn't have. The people who are on Kindle Unlimited would not have bought your book anyway, because what they're going to do, they pay a monthly fee. They're only going to buy book or read books that are on it. So you might as well get that money, because you're not going to get their money any other way. It works out. It depends on the book, but usually you don't make as much money on Kindle Unlimited, but you're making money that you would have made anyway. And when I look at my royalties, like a huge now nowadays, and I think it's because people are beginning to discover me. The majority of my royalties from Amazon come from Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. It's the way it goes. I also make quite a bit of money when I take my own. I get author copies, and then I go to events and sell them. I do pretty well there too. So this is the thing that really blew my mind, and it changed. So it really changed the way I'm thinking because, I'm in this for the long haul. I'm going to be writing until I die. I am writing my fourth novel now. I have five books that are published right now. Two of them are nonfiction, and then the trilogy. And I can see that I'm growing, that my day-to-day royalties, my month-to-month royalties, my yearly royalties are growing every time I add a book. And when I add a new book, the old books sell even more. So the new book sells the old books. It just builds and builds and builds. And so I still have to do some work on the side. I work for a research company called RTI. In fact, I'm going to be working this fall on a educational study, which I'm actually pretty excited about. It's good work. But eventually, I'm going to get to the point, especially now that I really think I understand how um, how ads work on KDP on Amazon, and I think once I have enough books and I understand the ads, I'm going to pull in. I mean, there are people making that are teaching there that are making six figures, and they bring up their stats, they show you their graphs, like the same ones I look at myself, so I know it's not bullshit. There was one guy or person, I'm sorry, named Quinn. They are a they them non-binary person. This person was going to quit, and they were only making $5 or $6 a month. They figured out how to reach their audience. This person writes gay romance, um, and there's a huge market for it apparently. And now they're making six figures. There's a woman on there doing the same thing. Happens to be gay romance too, but this is not just a gay romance thing. There are people writing. The guy putting on the course writes fantasy, adult young fantasy. There are historical fiction writers like me. Action adventure, romance, you name it, it's on there. Um, but this is the thing that really blew my mind. So the guy is putting signs, his name is Brian, and he showed that he made in the last couple of years $300,000, but he spent $80,000 on ads. Now, when I first look at that, I'm like, hell no, man! I'm not spending $80,000 on ads. But think about that, $300,000. If someone said you can make $220,000 scot free, you would do it, right? Of course you would. So it's not like you take 80 grand and you give them your 80 grand and they give it back to you. It's just over time. And so I understand it now. You can't. This is a business. Even if you're only selling a couple books a month, it's still if you're an independent author, you are a business unto yourself who is handling uh, not only the production of your goods but the marketing and sometimes even the selling. Because I sell books I personally sell books at events, and sometimes I even do it through the mail because sometimes people want a signed copy from me. So I'm like, sure, if you want to pay for shipping, and I have shipping bubble wrap envelopes that I can do it, and I'm happy to do it anytime. I don't really push it, but when people say I want a signed copy, will you send it to me? No problem. We do it through PayPal, and I get it into the mail the very day you ask for it, or if the post office closed next day. But it really hit me when I saw that how much he was making and what he was putting into advertising. And like, for example, think about it, McDonald's, right? Everybody knows who McDonald's is, right? What McDonald's is. You've eaten there, unless you're from like Mars, and then they probably have them over there too. But yet you still see advertisements for McDonald's, right? You still do, even though you know who they are. You see them, you still see the commercials. You drink Coca Cola, maybe you still see the Coca Cola commercials. Same thing. If you are in the business, and just think about this, okay? Some people say, "Well, I just want um, a big publisher to publish my book and do everything for me." Well, guess what? If you win the lottery and you get that, and they're doing that for you, guess what? They're spending money on advertising. It ain't for free, man. But if you do it right and you know what you're doing, you can turn, like right now in the United States, I am taking $1, putting it into the advertising machine and getting $10 back. At least that's what my stats are showing me. So I'm in this for good. So another thing I want to talk about, and I thought this would be a good segue. So there was that epiphany. I went and did a talk for the Sons of American Revolution in Hendersonville. I do a lot of, I've done two Sons of American Revolutions. I've done Sons of Confederate and Sons of Union veterans. I've done Civil War roundtables. I've done book clubs, all sorts of things. I love it. I have multiple talks that I do that I have prepared. I love public speaking. I come in, I put on a program. I work with them. I say, how long would some people, can you keep it tight? Can you keep it a half hour to 40 minutes? Sure. Others, I can go long, go an hour. Fine. Right now, there are 3 talks that I've done. And I know I'm doing my tangent thing, but I do a talk about the Battle of Isle Number 10. I do a talk about the Battle of Nashville, and then I do a talk about um, the American Civil War through fiddle tunes, where I actually bring my fiddle and play, and then afterwards, and sometimes they pay me. Sometimes they put me up in a hotel overnight. Sometimes they take me out to eat afterwards. But the big thing is, even if I do it completely on my own dime, is that usually when I get done, people line up and they buy my book. And sometimes I travel 6 hours to do a talk and end up selling 6 books. Sometimes I do it and I sell 30. But it's always worth it to me, because at this part of my life, my career, yes, the money's great, and I like seeing that I'm making more and more of it, and it is making a dent in my finances. But also the more important thing is I'm building a readership. So back to what I'm sorry. I know this is something I'm working on. I hate that I do this. I start a subject and I go somewhere else. So anyway, David Treadwell. I went and did a talk at the Sons of American Civil War in Hendersonville, and he was there. And while we were setting up, he's like, "Hey, I'm writing a book too," and he was telling me about it. And I said, very sincerely, "Hey, when you're ready to publish," because he was asking me questions, and I said, "If you want to publish with Amazon through KDP, I've been through it. Not only have I been through it, but I've coached one person before. That's Lloyd Elmore Jr. And by the way, this is not hard. It's just intimidating the first time you do it. And so I said, Lloyd, when you're ready, I'll come and sit down with you. And we did. And so Lloyd has since published another book since the one I helped him publish. And now he's off to the races. The next thing with Lloyd is he doesn't know this yet, but he's running ads when his next novel comes out. I haven't told him that I decided that for him, but it is going to happen. But anyway, so I told David, Dave, that I would do that. I would do the same thing. I'd come over when he's ready, and we'll sit down. We'll spend the day. We'll get his book online. And so I did. He called me. Now it's not online yet because he's working on the cover, and there's a couple things that he has to fix. But we went through step by step and everything that we could do, including uploading a dummy manuscript that needs some work, and we can upload the new one. Uploading a dummy. A dummy cover and all that kind of stuff. But we went through everything. I explained all these little variables, like, do you want to do this? And we're like, what the hell is that? Explain it to him why it's a good reason to do it the way that I do it. Anyway, David's good to go. He's just got I think I spent about 6 hours there. They fed me. He gave me a gift. He gave me this big, thick Harper's Weekly. It's all these articles from Harper's Weekly during the war. It's a beautiful book as a gift. And I had a little epiphany. I said, you know what? I was, yes, I did it mostly out of the kindness of my heart at first, but I something hit me. Now I'm still going to help people out like Lloyd and like that, but I think eventually on down the road. I mean, maybe it's a complete stranger, but I'm thinking about maybe starting a little bit of a consultancy in which I will, whether it's publishing your book on KDP or running Amazon ads for a fee. And if you live in within a 2 hour drive of me, I will come to your house. We will sit down with our computers next to each other. We will get your book. I'm not. What I'm not going to do is I'm not going to edit your book. I'm not going to proofread it. I'm probably not going to read it either. I don't mean to be mean, but I my backlog of reading. So my thing is I will help you. Just don't make me read your book. But if you got your book ready to go and you've had all that, you've had it professionally edited and it's all ready, I will sit down and I will take you through the process, and we will spend the entire day together getting your book online or getting you up to a point. And then if you need to hire me to come back another day, I will. And then if you need me to come back on another day and do ads with you, and what I will do is not only will I help you and walk you through it, but I will try to get you to the point that by the time I leave, you never need me again. Now, I'm happy if you want to spend your money. You're like, no, I'd really feel better if you just came and helped me do it. Okay, that's fine. We'll do that. But, and I'm not talking about like this is what I do full time or all the time. This is something that I might do. Um, my once again, I think I've made this point a million times. I have a lot of friends who say you should do this, or you should have a cooking show, you should run a blog, you should have a podcast, all these things. I think I would be good. I think like my talent or my abilities is a general one, which if I focused it on something, I would do okay and I'd do all right. I feel like I have to stay focused on what I do. So what I do is I write novels. I write novels and I market them on Amazon and on social media and all that. And that's kind of a two parts of the thing. Now, some people are only writers. I get it. I'm also a marketer. I grew up in an advertising agency. My mother always ran one. My early professional career was being a TV commercial producer in Detroit. I did that for like 7 years. So I have that mentality, that marketing sales mentality that has helped me quite a bit, because there's a lot of people that write great books, but they get buried because they don't know how to sell them. They don't know how to market them. So that is what I do. I think that helping other people in a consultancy, not all the time, but like, yeah, if I have a couple appointments a week or maybe even a couple a month, just to bring in a little extra money and just really to help people too, I think that would be great. All right. So what else do I want to talk about before I let you guys go? Um, oh, the other thing is too is I decided to raise my prices on my Kindles, and in the beginning, and let me go back to a point that I was making before about when I saw that the guy had spent 80 grand on ads, but he made 300 grand off that 80 grand. And I said, my whole thinking about myself in this industry is 100% wrong. Okay. And I know this about myself. I know you don't believe me because I come off as being an egomaniac, and I am. Of course I am. And I always say, if you don't think you're awesome, how are you gonna convince anybody else that you're awesome? Don't be like, oh, please, I'm not really good. I'm just getting started. Oh, but will you please buy my book anyway? No, who wants to read that, man? If you don't believe in you, who's going to believe in you? And I will say that my egomania it stems out of low self-esteem and poor self-confidence, and that's true. And I know you don't believe it, but it is true. It's an overcompensation for that. And so I went into this, first of all, I always was going to, from the sixth grade, I was writing short stories. So I always was going to be a writer. I took a run at it in the 90s. I won't go into, but it didn't happen. When I started writing Rampage on a River, I was a place in my life where it's like, this is it. This is the opportunity right now to write my novel. And if I don't write it now, I'm never going to do it. So I got it done. I wrote 3 novels now, and I'm pretty close to finishing my 4th. So, but the idea I had in my head about how the way I saw myself in the business was completely wrong. I had this starving artist Cinderella image of myself. I knew that I was talented. I knew that I could write good books, but I thought of myself as this like undiscovered, like if I just went out, put my book out there, somebody was going to discover it, and then they were going to figure out how great I am, and it would be off the races. Does not work that way, man. You don't just write a book and that's the end. That's the beginning. finishing your first novel is the beginning of the journey. There is so much more to it than that. Um, and so, first of all, last year, right about this time, I think last year in May, I started, was it May? Started buying ads on Amazon in the US, and then in June started buying them in the UK. And I've been seeing, especially in the UK, I've been pretty hot in the UK. And so the big thing in my head was, I gotta stop thinking I'm some little guy waiting to be discovered like Cinderella, cleaning my stepsister's floors while they go to the ball. No, I'm going to the fucking ball, man, because I'm a big fucking deal. That's what you gotta think about yourself. So I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in. I've done the test. I have a year worth of data that shows that yes, my book is profitable. If people see the ad, they click on it. They click on the ad, they buy it. If they buy the first one, they buy the second one. Okay, so we know we have a product. And I'm not saying my books are the best in the world. I love them. They're the books I want to read. But I know I'm as good as just about anybody else writing in my genre. And I know that for a fact because I read other writers all the time. And by the way, if you're a writer, you better be reading. You better be reading people in your genre. Because otherwise, if you're not a reader yourself, you're fooling yourself. You're fooling yourself. And if you happen to be out there, I seriously doubt. I'd like to hear from someone who says, "Yeah, I never read and I write and I'm totally successful." Okay, well, we'll see. You let me know if I'm wrong, but I say bullshit. So, one of the women that was doing one of the courses, doing the Q&As, and she writes gay romance too, um, which is great. Good for her. But she says she's her full novels, and her full novels are only like 275 pages. She's selling them for $5.99. $5.99. She's got novellas that are 74 pages. She's selling them for $2.99. $2.99. And she says, "Look, man, you charge what you're worth." But the other thing is this, is that, and there's some truth to this. I know this. My mom taught me about this because my sister designs bikinis. And they're knit bikinis that she sells for fucking $80 a piece. And she says if you sell them for cheaper, people don't buy them. They don't think they're any good. And so it's true. And so when you look at, I look at Paul Collard, and Paul, if you're ever watching this, please forgive me. Well, actually, I would say that I think Paul is amazing. I read his first book. Paul writes as close to what I write, as far as he writes. 19. He's got a guy named Jack Lark. He's a 19th century military guy. He's got like 9 novels out. He's very successful. So I look to him quite a bit. And Paul's selling his books for $3.99 or more. I was pricing my books at $2.99 because that's the minimum I could sell them on KDP and get the full benefits, according to Amazon. And because my idea was I wanted to keep my prices low because I wanted to make it an easy impulse buy. Well, not everybody's struggling financially like I am. So $3.99 is not a big leap. $4.99. So in the course, Brian Cohen, I think I asked it or someone else asked it, and they said really the wheelhouse for an independent published author should be pretty much $3.99 to $5.99. So anything over $5.99 is a little too much for an independent author. And the reason being is, like, for example, Bernard Cornwell, who's kind of like the guy, he's the king of the historical fiction. Like, his Sharp series is who I want to be. Richard Sharp is a British soldier, fights in the Napoleonic War. The latest Richard Sharp book, I think there's like over 20 of them. There's like 22, 23. The latest one on Kindle is $15.99 or maybe $14.99, but still, like, that's more than my print books. But the thing is, he's Bernard Cornwell, and they've made movies and TV shows based off of his books. And also, he's in one of the, I can't remember who publishes them. I think HarperCollins. But they're a huge, huge mega corporation with a huge marketing budget. So a lot of money goes in. So I don't know how much he gets per book afterwards, but I don't have all those expenses that I'm just, let's say it's HarperCollins. It might not be, but I don't have all the same expenses. HarperCollins has to pay him. They got to pay his agent. They got to pay the person who designed the book cover or the production of the books, everything. So uh, so I was doing 299. I decided, my first book is 57,000 words, basically about a 250-page book. My second one is 69,000. It's now 72,000 with the preview for the next book. I bumped up. For the time being, I'm keeping Rampage on the River at 299. Brian said, it might be okay to do that. If it's your first book, because you want to bring people in. He said, don't give it away for free, like we already talked about. But your first book, okay, 299. It's an entry into the series. Perils of Perryville is 399. Most people aren't going to blink at that. That's not a big deal. Although that's raising it by 30%. I can't raise Blood for Blood. Blood for Blood is basically twice as long as my other books. It's about as long as my first two books combined. So I've decided, now I can't raise it right now because I just ran a promotion in the UK and you have to wait like 2 weeks after you run a promotion. But I'm going to raise Blood for Blood is going to be $4.99. The print copies are going to stay the same. The print the paperback and the hardback copy are going to be the same, but Perils is going to be $3.99. Blood for Blood is going to be $4.99. I might do $4.99 we'll see. I got to think about it because I'm reaching into a new genre with Mexico My Love, so we'll see. But people say that sometimes people don't buy your book when they're $2.99 because they don't think it's going to be any good. So you have to they say write to your market and market to your market. So first of all, I mean, I tried. I try to be fresh and original. That's true, but also they say people are looking for the tropes. Like my trilogy is one of the oldest Civil War tropes there is. Best friends who get separated and end up on opposite sides. It's an old trope, but if you do it well, and nobody writes it like I write it, my story is still very original. And this woman who writes gay romances, the trope that she uses over and over is friends to lovers, and she even puts in the subtitles a friends to lover gay romance, because there's a place to be creative. You can do that when you're writing your books, but on your cover and on your title and on your subtitle and on your description, you don't want to be clever. You want to be extremely obvious, because they're only going to give you a couple seconds to look at your title, to look at your cover, your title, to make a decision whether they're going to scroll on or they're going to look further. So you want to get them in, and then you can show them just how brilliant you are. And so I added the subtitle to Perils and to Blood for Blood. Now it's Perils of Perryville, an American Civil War novel. It's the subtitle of the ebook as well, so you see that, because you want absolutely them to know when in plain English, this is a Civil War novel. It'll be interesting when I do the Mexico My Love, because it ends with the Mexican-American War. Like the last third is the Mexican-American War, but it's bigger than the Mexican-American War. It's basically a tragic love story. It's a tragic love story filled with swashbuckling adventure that takes you from the streets of France to the deserts of North Africa to the pirate-infested high seas, to the Mexican-American War. So anyway, that's where we are with that. The last thing is I'll just give you the update of where I am. Yesterday, I finished chapter 34, which is called Punishment. And I have cleaned that up a little bit and added it to the main document. So I usually write the chapters separate, and then once I kind of get them cleaned up, I add them to the main, the master document, which is the whole book. Minus, I keep the historical note separate because I keep working on that. It's hard to write something that is 100,000 words because the document is so big. It's hard to maneuver. So I write in chapter chunks, then add them to the main document. So right now I've finished chapter 34. I'm at 106,006 words. Um, I am going to write 3 more chapters, I believe, and a epilogue, which I'm using the French term "le dénouement," which means like the aftermath, whatever. So we're having the big climax. We're building to it, building to the big tragedy, and then the that last bit, "le dénouement," is going to be kind of what happens with the characters after the big thing, and sets it up so that we get you in the place where Rampage on the River begins. And here's the other thing too. If you're writing in series, and I kind of am and kind of I'm not. I wrote a trilogy, a number, with part 1, part 2, part 3, but I'm dropping the numbers after that. And I learned that from Kevin Ashman, and we'll see how well it works. A series can be very profitable if people are going to read through, but if they're not getting past your first book, then you're kidding yourself. I've decided that the books from here on out, any of my books are standalone. You can read book 2 of my trilogy and not read book 1. You're gonna be fine. But from here on out, all my books are going to be in universe, and they're going to be connected. But each one's going to be a standalone novel. So we'll see how that works. But what I'm doing, but in the trilogy, you put like at the end of Rampage on the River is a preview for Perils of Perryville, and at the end of Perils of Perryville is a preview for the next one, and so on and so forth. So when I finish Mexico, My Love, at the very end of the book is going to be once again a preview for for Rampage on the River, because hopefully, if you haven't read the trilogy, you'll go from there uh, to into the trilogy. See what I'm saying? And then maybe later on, I might do something where I take you into, because the 5th book is going to continue the story after the trilogy. So basically, the way I did this, and this was planned from the beginning, I wrote a trilogy. I'm writing a prequel now, and then I'm writing a sequel that happens after the trilogy. And then after that, I'm going to do a standalone novel that is about one of the characters that has been talked about through the trilogy, but you don't meet him until you read Mexico, My Love, and it's going to be huge epic. That's going to go back at least as far back as the War of 1812, maybe even further. I'm not quite sure. And it's a character that we talk about, but you don't meet, but you're going to meet him in Mexico, My Love. And then I don't know where it's going to bring you to in that character's arc, but it's going to be very interesting. And then I'm going to write another one that continues the story after book 5. And we're going to do kind of another North African and Egyptian adventure with some of your favorite characters. And then I don't know if immediately after that, but I'm going to do a Western with one of the other characters. If you've read Blood for Blood at Nashville, and you read the epilogue, I kind of set up what that is going to be about, if you want a hint. And then I got some other ideas of continuing the story that I started with the trilogy. I have some other ideas that have nothing to do with that at all. So we'll see. I'm going to keep writing. If you like my writing, I'm going to keep writing for you, and I'm going to keep getting better. I mean, I by no means am a master now, and I never will be. I'm always going to be working on it. And even right now, I got a book on writing that I'm reading. So I'm working on it, becoming a better marketer. I'm becoming a better writer. I'm going to become a better consultant. I'm going to help more people get published and more people run ads. And that's it for today. Thank you for stopping by, and check out if you're interested. If you haven't read any of my trilogy, and I'll tell you this too, I'm hoping to get brand new readers with Mexico, My Love, but I would actually prefer that somebody, and you can read Mexico, My Love and not have read anything. but I think it will be better if you do read the trilogy. You don't need it, but because there's some mysteries that I set up and then solve in the trilogy. There's some big reveals and like holy cow. So if you just read Mexico My Love, that that spoiler will you'll know it already, and it'll still be a great book. But there's some things that if you read the trilogy, there'll be a little mystery that I solve in the trilogy that then we tell the whole story in Mexico My Love. So, but you do you whatever you want to read. You know, I got someone, um, Pedro Garcia. He's a friend of mine on Facebook. He's like, you know what? He's like, I'm just going to read your third book. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I wrote it so that you could. So anyway, I'll leave it there. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. And hey, if you could do me a favor, or I mean, if you like this, subscribe. You don't have to watch every video, but I'm trying to build up this channel. If I get 1,000 viewers, no, if I get 1,000 subscribers, or I get 4,000 hours of viewing, they'll start. Um, they'll monetize my videos and then I can start making a little money off it. I don't know. I think it'd be fun. I'm a big fan of YouTubers. There's a lot of YouTubers. I don't watch TV. I listen to YouTubers. And so I'm trying to get in the game right now. And this is the fledgling. I mean, I plan on doing a lot more with this, including bringing other people on and being able to share my screen. And this is going to grow. And each one of these videos, I get like 9 or 10 views. I'm grateful for every single one of them, and hoping to build more and more. So give me a like, give me a subscribe, leave me a comment. I promise you, if you do, I will reply to it, unless it's like something mean or whatever. All right, have a good night, and thank you for coming by.